That little boy is up to no good. Ese niño necesita que sus papás lo disciplinen. Now, you may have heard this before from well-meaning people when they talk about black and brown boys. You know the scene. There's a little boy who's just a burst of energy. Maybe he's speaking too loud. Maybe he's running around. Maybe he's just wiggling. And immediately, the adults around him decide that is a problem child. Here's what I want you to think about. What if that little boy wasn't black or brown? What if people didn't identify him as a boy at all? What if he was a little girl? What if he comes from a family that's lower income as opposed to higher income? And what if their family was speaking something different than English? That's another example of ways that we can take intersectionality and put it into action. When you see people behaving in this way, like calling out a child, stop and think. Research shows that Black and Latino boys are more likely to be underdiagnosed or undiagnosed with ADHD and autism when compared to their white peers. And it's not because the condition is rarer in Black and brown communities. It's because of bias and because there just aren't enough resources available to detect and diagnose these situations or conditions in young children of color. Language barriers, cultural differences, and assumptions about behavior mean that thousands of kids go undiagnosed and therefore unsupported year after year. Instead of getting access to care or conditions that lead to a supportive classroom environment, they're labeled as problematic. They might get labeled as disruptive, defiant, troublemakers. But intersectionality helps us see how these overlapping identifiers like socioeconomic, race, class, and even gender shape not just how people are, but how they're treated. And eventually, repeated treatment conditions them to expect a certain type of treatment from people. So please, especially if you are an educator or someone who works with children and youth, consider pausing before calling a child problematic. Instead, ask yourself, what systems are failing this child? That's another way that we can start to improve and start to do better